Hello, everyone, and welcome to our broadcast of Right to the Heart with BB Webb. I am BB Webb, and I'm both honored and delighted to be your host as together we learn about interesting people from all walks of life, uncovering what makes them tick, their passions, and their various positive contributions to the world, and particularly throughout the Southeast. Right to the Heart is aimed at helping others realize what I like to call possibility thinking. I'll be featuring two guests weekly in the areas of health and wellness, the arts, fashion, culinary, entertaining, books and film, gardening, and whatever else I might deem of interest, and I hope you will too. I intend for this program to be the antithesis of traditional negative news and views. I'd rather focus on how we all might work to create a more positive world full of possibility for one another. With that, I am delighted to have as my first guest a man who possesses all of these gifts and many, many more. David Alan Grier is an entrepreneur, artist, business icon, visionary, inventor, writer, husband, dad. Shall I go on, David?
Go on. Yeah. This is an hour long, right?
Yeah, it is. Right. Hi, David.
Hi, BB. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Well, listen, let me give the folks in our audience a little bit of a background on your current business and artistic endeavors. This could take a while. You are the founder of the very, very successful marketing PR firm, Tillman Allen Grier, correct?
That is correct.
All right. Founder of the award-winning publication Gwinnett Magazine.
Award-winning.
Award-winning. Your wife told me it was award-winning.
Well, we gave each other the award.
Oh, okay. Well, good. Good job. Founder of the Gwinnett Business Journal. You created the Wiki Guide to Gwinnett and the Success Lives Here initiative, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And the part that I'm very, very interested in talking about, you are a screenwriter and off on all sorts of new film endeavors.
Yes, that is right.
And you just wrote a wonderful script that I read and loved called Butterbeans.
Butterbean. Everybody will know Butterbean here.
Everybody will know Butterbeans.
Yeah, Butterbean.
Absolutely.
It kind of rolls, doesn't it? Butterbean.
Does. You know what?
Have you ever eaten a butterbean, by the way?
I love Butterbeans.
You do? Do you eat butterbeans?
I don't eat them regularly, but when I grew up in Pennsylvania, we had something that was similar to Butterbeans.
Oh, not a lima bean.
Not a lima bean, but I did live in Lima, Ohio.
Okay, that doesn't count.
Okay.
But how did you eat the butter bean?
We steam them with a little butter and salt.
No, you don't do that.
What do you do?
What you do is you cook the bean until there's no color. You cook it.
You're from the South,
gray.
aren't you?
That's right. And when it's gray, it's done. And then you serve it over cornbread. If you don't pour it over cornbread, it's not butter beans.
Okay.
Then you would refer to it as a lima. And they would probably serve it up north.
El Dante.
Twist of lime, al dente. No, we don't do al dente down here. We do mouche. So you cook the color out of the butter bean, put it over cornbread, and then you're done. Yeah. That works for any vegetable, by
Now,
the way.
I understand that butter beans can also be made into a usable fuel that's energy efficient.
That is agribusiness. We're not dumb as we look down here in the South. We can turn it into biodegradable fuel.
Well, let me step back before we go into your new artistic career that we're very excited to talk about. You do have a few clients that you have gathered throughout the years in your marketing PR firm.
I had until they hear this show. Well,
you used to have Atlanta Gas and Light. The Gwinnett Chamber used to be your client. No, Gwinnett Public Schools, Gwinnett Technical College, Jackson EMC, the Brand Banking. How did you get all these? 1818 Club?
Well, we had this big dinner on the grounds and served up some butter beans, and next thing you know, they signed on.
Dang, you're
it's just
good.
the way it works.
I think they like the way you talk.
I think they do. They do. No, they. I grew up in Gwinnett County, and
You're from the South?
No, well, I'm really from New York, but I worked on my accent for many years.
You got rid of it.
Yeah, I did. I still have the coach, But, it was just sort of a word-of-mouth kind of thing. We started out doing marketing and understanding the transitions the county was going through. And, one account led to the next, and that's been the story.
You're dumb as a fox, aren't you?
I'm dumb like a fox.
Dumb like a fox.
Dumb like a fox, yeah.
Well, I'm delighted to welcome this week a celebrated author, coach, and speaker. She wrote a fabulous book called Divine Wisdom at Work. Welcome, Tricia Malloy.
Thank you, BB.
It's so wonderful to be talking with you again. I have been spreading the news of your fabulous book, and for the few people who haven't read it yet, Divine Wisdom at Work, if you would, share with folks a little bit about what this fabulous book is about.
Well, I've always used universal principles throughout my whole life. I've had a public relations business for 20 years now, and have used that to address the challenges and opportunities of running a small business. And I found that I was counseling and coaching clients and friends about how to put these principles into practice. And like most writers, I had at least one book in me. And a couple of years ago, I was inspired to put all these principles together in this book. And now I have a whole other business going, which is my Working with Wisdom business. So I inspire business people to apply these universal principles and work with wisdom.
Well, you know, what I loved about it, reading it, for years and years I've read books by many different inspired thinkers and with different universal principles that they presented. And I loved in your book that it was all put together very succinctly. I had to immediately go out and buy, gosh, I don't know how many copies, 12 copies to give to all of my staff at Carl House. When you talk about, just so people are really clear with the languaging, what do you mean by universal principles?
Universal principles are laws with the same power and integrity as gravity and fire. They're ancient truths and proven tools that you can use to live and work at your best. Some of the principles are the law of attraction, which people may be familiar with through Secret. And then there's affirmations and visualization and gratitude, prosperity consciousness, defining your life purpose.
Wow. So you put all these principles together in a book to help business owners. Who are the people who read your books?
Well, being an entrepreneur, I decided that my first book would be for entrepreneurs.
Right.
So my subtitle is 10 Universal Principles for Enlightened Entrepreneurs. But it really strikes a chord in just about anyone.
It does.
Whatever they're doing, whether they're working for themselves or someone else, or whether they're trying to achieve goals on a personal level, it applies to everyone.
Well, I can tell you personally, just using the principles in my business and with the folks who I work with, it's made a tremendous difference. In fact, I'd shared with you before we started the interview that Lee Davis, who is doing the music for the show and the taping here, I walked into his studio and it's completely uncluttered and things are just manifesting left and right.
That's right. The universe abhors a vacuum. So you clean out that clutter, the physical clutter, the emotional clutter, and it's guaranteed that you will start to receive what serves your highest good.
Now tell our audience a little bit about how your business has grown from the inception of this book.
Well, my main client right now is the Home Depot.
Oh, wonderful.
And my
wow.
Yes, and my intention is to work with progressive companies that recognize and appreciate the power of these principles. And I also love to do retreat programs.
Okay.
Women's retreats, conferences, destination spa programs, that type of thing, where we have more time to play with these principles in beautiful surroundings over several days.
Well, I am delighted today to introduce certified financial planner, speaker, author. She's affiliated with the Financial Network Corporation and has written a terrific new book called Get Your Assets in Gear. Welcome, please, to the radio program, Jan Dahlin Geiger. Hi, Jan.
Hey, BB. I'm so glad to be here.
Well, I'm so thrilled to have you here and to share your message. Your book is wonderful. Of course, I have all my friends reading the book and my staff, and it has certainly changed the way I look at finances in my life. Can you share with people, our audience, a little bit the overview of the intent of this book?
Well, it's really funny because I'm probably the only reluctant author you've ever met. But I love to teach, and I just basically teach what my mother taught me as a kid, and that is that getting rich is really pretty easy. When you really boil it down, there's only 3 steps to do to get rich.
And what are they?
And the first one is you got to get out of debt and you got to stay out of debt.
Okay.
You know.
And our culture does not embrace that very well, does it?
Exactly. So obviously there's a lot of subsets on how do you get out of debt.
Sure.
When you get down to it, stay out of debt, and then you got to figure out how to save money systematically. And that just boils down to pay yourself first, automate your savings, and then just forget that you ever even have that money.
So that you're allocating certain funds to pay off things, but certain funds that you don't even consider anything other than a saving vehicle.
Exactly. And, you know, the reason that the expression pay yourself first
right.
is so popular is because it really works. If you pay yourself first, so for example, you say, whatever I make, the first 10% goes to long-term savings so that someday I can be financially free. And then whatever you make, you always get to live on 90% of it.
Right.
And if you automate it and you do it all the time, right from your very first paycheck, you just never get used to having that money and you never miss it.
I like what you said too about systematize it, we've talked before. You learned this and grew up with these concepts, so it wasn't alien; it was just innate for you.
Well, in fact, what's the funny part, BB, is that I really thought that if you were an adult, this is what you were supposed to do. I never knew that it was something that most people didn't do.
Yeah.
And I got out of college at 22. I had tons of school loans and everything.
Right.
And I had 15 years to pay off my school loans. But it was so ingrained in me that, don't do debt, paying interest, just throwing money out the window, things like that.
Right.
I took 2 years to pay off my college
Oh,
loans.
my goodness.
And I just, put my nose on the grindstone and said, until this debt is paid, I'm not doing anything frivolous with my money.
Wait, yeah.
Boom. So I was out of debt at 24. And the minute I was out of debt, I started saving 10%. And I just thought all adults did that because that's what I was taught.
Well, and it's living within your means.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because, if you make $30,000, surely you know somebody living on 25.
Absolutely.
And if you make 50, you know somebody living on 40 or 45. And if you make 100, you know somebody living on 80.
Well, you had shared, because you are a regular guest on my television show, Living Life with Style, and you have shared that people really don't have a sense of the big picture on how to do this. And you're presenting principles on how to do it very easily, and you affirm that anyone who makes at least $25,000 a year can be rich. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, what that is, my definition of rich is that you have enough money put away in investments that you can live off your investments and you don't have to live off a paycheck. And you get to live the life that you most want to live. That's my definition of rich.
Thank you all for joining us on Right to the Heart with BB Webb. If you have comments on our shows, suggestions for new guests, or other enlightened thinking, please contact me at bbwebb@carlhouse.com. I'd love to hear from you. In the meantime, here's to living better, making heartful choices, and really enjoying your life.